Welcome to my tutorial on the seller's property disclosure. I'm sending this to you because you're selling your house. It's an exciting time. You're moving on to new ventures. And one part of this process is filling out the seller property disclosure. Essentially, by law, you have to disclose any known adverse material facts about your home to prospective buyers so that they know the actual condition of the home and what they're getting for their money. If there's any issues that have ever occurred with the property, but you've repaired them or mitigated them, or if there's any issues that are still in disrepair, as long as they know everything about the property and any adverse material facts, it's okay. You've met the requirement of the law. Now, I would encourage you, this is not something don't be shy about sharing things. Sometimes maybe it's a little embarrassing to share, issues with the home and what's going on with it. But this is actually helpful to buyers, and it's actually helpful to you. When they see your honesty and sharing information about your property, it warms them up to the sale of their home. Now, some people might say, well, we don't want to deal with that, so we're moving on. So be it. It's better to know that up front than to find out once you're under contract after a couple of weeks. So err on the side of over-disclosure, as you'll see when we get to the actual document. But this is just a great tool put together by the Real Estate Commission here in the state of Colorado to help you as a seller to follow some guidelines and give you an idea of what you need to disclose to prospective buyers. So you will get this email from me, and go ahead and click on this, and it'll take you to this screen so that you can fill it out digitally. Now, if you would prefer a paper copy to fill out by hand, that's fine too. Just let me know, and I'll go ahead and email you a copy of this or just hand deliver a paper copy so that you can fill it out. But if you want to do the digital version, it's nice and conveniently laid out for you here. And so I'll go ahead and start from the top and work down to the bottom. Again, this is that seller's property disclosure, and it should be completed by you, not by me. I can give you advice, I can answer questions for you, but you're the one that has to fill this out. And I'll go ahead and read this first paragraph because it gives some explanation of what your responsibility is as a seller, and it defines terms for you to help you out. So the seller states that the information contained in this seller's property disclosure, referred to also as the SPD, is correct to the seller's current actual knowledge as of this date. So if you don't know something, you don't know. Any changes must be disclosed by seller to buyer promptly after discovery. So let's say you fill this out, you sign it, you deliver it to buyers, and perhaps you're even under contract. If all of a sudden you get a leak in your dishwasher and it's put a big puddle of water in your kitchen, we have to disclose that to the buyer as soon as possible. And then it goes on to say, seller's failure to disclose a known adverse material fact affecting the property or occupant may result in legal liability. You don't want that. So again, err on the side of over disclosure. If you know that a dog piddled on the carpet 10 years ago, put that on there. Being slightly humorous, but yeah, again, err on the side of over disclosure so that buyers don't think that there might be something that's missing or find out later that something happened. If the sales contract requires seller to complete this SPD, this form must be fully completed to seller's current actual knowledge as of the date of the contract. If seller has knowledge of an adverse material fact affecting the property or occupants, it must be disclosed whether there is a specific item on this SPD or not. So this is a great guide to that fairly comprehensively covers most things with the home. But if you know something else that's not on here, make sure you add that in writing and attach it as a separate document or what have you, as long as we disclose it to the buyer, whether it's on this SPD or not. If the property is part of a common interest community, this SPD is limited to the property or unit itself, except as stated in Section O. And I'll scroll down to that here in a minute, and you can see some of the items that you need to disclose about the HOA. Broker may deliver a copy of this SPD to prospective buyers. And this is where I advise we get this done or fully completed and signed prior to listing your home so that we can include that as one of the documents on the MLS. It's always helpful for a buyer. When I work with buyers, they're always asking, is there a seller property disclosure? They want to see that up front so they can see the condition of the home. Now, don't be nervous about this. Again, this is a good opportunity for you to show that, hey, we've had some issues. We had hail damage to the roof, but we had the roof replaced. It was an insurance claim, or we had this leak, but we fixed it. And we had a professional plumber come in and fix the problem. So it's also a good opportunity to let them know how well you've taken care of your home. And if it's still in disrepair, that's fine too, as long as they know. Here's an important note. Your answers are not limited to only to the space provided. Attach additional pages, reports, receipts, or any other documents you believe necessary for the information you provide to be complete. So if you have receipts from a plumber or a roofing contractor or anything like that, make sure that we attach that as well, or know that it's available to them at the request. And then this first section, I'll fill that out for you. The date, the property address. I'll have your names there as a seller. If you know who Chuck Bartowski is, bonus points for you. Year built and the year that you bought the property initially. I will have all that filled out for you. Here's an important note as well. The contract to buy and sell real estate, not this SPD, determines whether an item is included or excluded in the sale. If there's an inconsistency between this SPD and the contract controls. What that's talking about is, I'll scroll down here to appliances, for instance. You have a nice gas grill and you plan on taking that with you to your next home. If you happen to fill this out and say it's 2 years old and works great, something like that, that's fine. That doesn't mean that because it's on here that it's staying with the property and that the buyers get it, because there's a section in the contract that talks about inclusions, and we'll make sure that that only includes the things that you plan on passing on to potential buyers. So just because you filled it out on here doesn't mean the buyer gets to keep it with the purchase of the property. So I'll go ahead and delete that. Now back up here, this is how you fill out the document. It's pretty simple and straightforward. Just read the fine print and make sure you fill it out correctly. For instance, in this first section, section A, if you know of any of the following problems ever existing, check yes, or check the yes column. So for instance, a perfect example, we had that big flood here in 2013. If you lived in the house at that time, if you owned the house at that time, and you know that you had some flooding in the basement, click yes and fill out this section here on comments. What happened, what you did to mitigate the problem, what damage was done, were there any repairs made? We have receipts to show this, what have you. Put all that information here in comments. I also want you to know, it's important to point out that if you bought the house in 2015, but you know when you bought the house that the prior seller disclosed that there was water damage related to the flood, you also have to fill that out. Again, ever existing. So in your current actual knowledge, if you know that there was flood damage based on what the prior seller told you, you also have to fill that out here. And if you have any of those documents that they shared with you, this would be a good place to reference them or to attach them to this document. And then you'll just scroll down, exterior wall or windows, for instance. If you know that you had some leaky window seals and there's condensation in your window, make sure you put that on there. Cracks heaving or settling here on number 5. If you got a sidewalk that's wonky because the ground is settled and there's been heaving and now your sidewalk is uneven, make sure you note that here. And then scroll down from section to section, again, paying attention to the fine print. Roof, if you know of any of the following problems ever existing, check the yes column and then leave notes as to how that situation was addressed, if there were any repairs made, what have you. If you know anything about the roof warranty, the shingle manufacturer should have given you a document, and if it's transferable, click yes or no that you know of. And then just scroll on down from section to section. You'll notice in some sections it's not ever existing, but it's now existing. So with the appliances, if you know of any issues now existing with any of these items, that's a good place to check yes and then make a comment. Down here, any issues now existing with these electrical and telecommunications items. If you have a security system, you can check whether you own it or if it's currently leased. If you accidentally check on one of these and realize, oh, we don't have a security system, check on clear and that will reset it. And then anything you know about these, the smoke detectors, if they're battery or hardwired, click yes, the age if known, and then any comments about that you know of any adverse material facts related to those items. And then you'll just scroll down and fill things out accordingly. Again, as the document said, current actual knowledge. If there's something you don't know, then you don't know. Scrolling down. to here. If you know things about your heating system, your furnace, if it's a boiler, if you have hot base or hot water baseboard heat, that kind of thing, just put all that stuff there. And then I want to scroll down here to section H. This is the source of water. So type of water supply, you would click public if you live in, say, the city of Longmont, town of Estes Park, or if you're part of a water district like Left Hand Water. This is where you'd fill that information in. If you have a well, a copy of the well permit, that's something you can find online, and we can print that out and attach it. If you know the well permit number, I'll help you in finding that information as well. But that's all information we want to have up front and available to the buyer, so it doesn't make it difficult for them to find this information. The water provider, if you do have a municipal water source, you would fill that in here. Again, City of Longmont, their address, their website, their phone number, and or if you don't even have a water source or an alternative source of water, you would put that here. And then your sewage system. Some of these, again, ask me questions if you don't know. A lift station, typically you wouldn't have that unless you have a septic system on your property. So rural properties would have that, or older properties in some areas of some municipalities have that. But if it's a public sewer system, you would say, again, City of Longmont, what have you, your type of septic system. If you do have a septic tank or a leach field or lagoon, I've never come across a lagoon, but you'd want to put that information here. And then also, you would also have to put the date of last inspection. If you have a rural property and you have a septic system, I'm going to help you with that because Boulder and Larimer counties have very specific rules about transferring a property with a septic system. So in all likelihood, we'll have already done a septic inspection and followed the guidelines per the county, depending on which one you live in. Flooding and drainage issues. If you know you've ever had any issues with flooding or drainage, even if you don't have them now, go ahead and fill that in here, and you can say we haven't had this problem in 10 years or whatever. Stains on carpet, as you can see here, the condition of the flooring, any issues there, just disclose. Zoning issues, if you have any zoning violations, building code, city or county violations, if you have an unpermitted basement, you would need to put that here. So item number 8, any additions or alterations made with the building permit or without a building permit, you need to note that here in this section so that people know. Don't make them try hard to look. I know representing buyers, it's kind of a pain to have to sit there and find out if a basement was permitted or not. And then access and parking, any issues ever existing. Environmental conditions, anything that you know about the property, make notation of it here as far as adverse material conditions. Common interest community, this is the HOA section. So if it is part of an HOA, you would click yes. If there's any special assessments or increases in regular assessments, so if your monthly fee is going up, you need to make note of that here and why. Anything that you know about the property, and you can call your HOA and ask. Usually they're sending you letters to let you know of any updates, those kinds of things. So, but you can call your HOA to get more information if you like, to give a more thorough explanation of what's going on with your HOA. And then any general disclosures, any property insurance claims, any issues with anything pertaining to the property that you didn't see above, this is a good place to put it. Now, when you get down here to the bottom, and let's say you don't fill this whole thing out all at once, you're going to get back to it tomorrow when after you talk with me or you want to do some further research, click save. That'll save anything that you put into this document, and you'll be able to come back and edit again the next time. And if you need help getting back to it, just go to that email I initially sent you the link to, and you can get access to this document again. And all the items that you filled out and click save will be there. And then down here is your signature. Don't sign this until you know you're absolutely done and you've consulted with me and had any questions answered, what have you. Then you can sign, because once you sign, it's locked. You can't edit it any further. So just make sure that you're completely done and you put all the information in there that you wanted to. And then here's another important advisory to the seller. It says that seller acknowledges that broker, that's me, will disclose to any prospective buyer all adverse material facts actually known by broker, including but not limited to adverse material facts pertaining to the physical condition of the property, any material defects in the property, and any environmental hazards affecting the property. So if I know of something, but you don't, I have a responsibility legally to disclose that to buyers or prospective buyers. I also have a legal obligation to share things that you're not willing to share. So it doesn't happen very often, but sometimes buyers think that they're serving themselves by keeping things a secret or what have you. Know that I legally cannot help you keep your secrets. I have to share that with everybody. So that is the seller property disclosure. There's an advisory to the buyer here at the bottom. I'd encourage you to read that as well, just to kind of let you know what buyers need to be aware of when it comes to the physical condition of the property and their rights and information regarding purchase of a home. So hope this helps. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.